All right, guys, we got GED level 3 practice test. So we got 20 questions on this thing, and I don't know if you've done any of our other practice tests before, but like the others, all of the questions with the answer choices are in the description. So the best way to go about it is go ahead and take the test first through the answering all the questions in the description, then watch the video and figure out what all the correct answers are, see how you did, as well as get some feedback on some more details on the concepts that you need to be familiar with to really excel on the GED Science test. From a standpoint of your score, I try to say this at the beginning of each of the videos. Each subject area you need a 145. That should mean about 65%. Okay, so that's about what you're looking at. So that would be about 13 out of 20 here. That's what you would need to pass. Uh, if you have any thoughts about college, um, really it would help out quite a bit if you were much more around the 75 or 80% range. So maybe like 15 or 16 out of 20. We do have a mobile app that can help you as far as interacting with a lot more questions and feedback. And we also have links to some of our other videos that connect to specific topics and questions within this test that also might be useful. So there is all of that info, and so let's go ahead and get started. Which cell organelle contains DNA and directs the activities of the cell? Okay, directs all activities of the cell. We need to know that that's the nucleus. Okay, um, the nucleus again directs all cell activities. It contains the hereditary material of the cell, which is the DNA found in chromosomes. The nucleus is encapsulated by the nuclear membrane, which isn't important for this question, but it is important to know. Okay, that's question one. Nucleus, directing all the cell activities. What else we got? Question two. Which cell organelle is the site for energy producing aerobic reactions? That would be the mitochondria. Hope you got that one. If not, just knowing, and this can actually be a question that is phrased this way. The mitochondria is often referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. It is where most energy generating reactions of aerobic cellular respiration occur. ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, is produced in the mitochondria using energy stored in food. Question three. Which organelle is the site of photosynthesis and is found mostly in plants? Especially that part where they tell us that it's mostly in plants should help somewhat. Um, Chloroplasts, they're only found in green plant cells. They're also found in some algae. They contain chlorophyll and are the sites of photosynthesis. Question four. What is the process by which chromosomes in a single cell duplicate and separate into two identical sets? Okay, so that would be mitosis. A lot of people get confused between mitosis and meiosis. Single cell duplicate and separate into two identical. Let's talk about this for a second. During mitosis, a cell's chromosomes divide to form two identical sets. Okay, so that's just a sentence you want to have memorized, right? Or at least the concept. The cytoplasm also splits, forming two equal daughter cells. Meiosis is a type of cell division that reduces the number of chromosomes in the parent cell by half and produces four gamete cells. Again, let me say that one more time. Meiosis is a type of cell division that reduces the number of chromosomes in the parent cell by half. This process is required to produce egg and sperm cells for sexual reproduction. Binary fission is the division of a single entity into two or more parts and the regeneration of those parts into separate entities resembling the original. Okay, so there's very rarely, so that was the definition because it wasn't the answer choice. very rarely are you going to get a question about binary fission. Plan on getting a question about meiosis, mitosis, or possibly both on your science exam. So much more important to be able to understand just the basic differences between meiosis and mitosis. Like a lot of the GED is you don't have to be able to go into a lot of detail, right? But just to be able to understand the basic differences between terms and words is really what's most important. That's certainly the case for meiosis, mitosis. Okay, which of the following is not one of the products of cellular respiration? Nitrogen is not one of the products of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the process in which carbohydrates are broken down to release energy. Oxygen combines with glucose to produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, and we get into some of the stuff about the cosmos here, about Earth and Moon. Which is closer to Earth? Moon, Sun, equal, depends on the rotation of the Earth. Okay, so we want to know that it's Moon. So the Moon is actually about 400 times smaller than the Sun, but it also happens to be about 400 times closer to Earth. The result is that from Earth, they appear to be approximately the same size. And when its orbit around the Earth takes the Moon directly between Earth and the Sun. Okay, so our main point there is Moon is closer. Origin of the universe. Okay, so this should be some low-hanging fruit for a level 3 question. The Big Bang. So the Big Bang theory is the prevailing cosmological model for the universe from the earliest known periods. We want to be familiar with that one. Ocean tides are caused by what? Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Earth. Okay, so the answer there is going to be Moon, but it's tricky because it involves the Earth as well. So tides are periodic rises and falls of large bodies of water. Tides are caused by the gravitational interaction between the Earth and the Moon. The gravitational attraction of the Moon causes the oceans to bulge out in the direction of the Moon, right? So really, ocean tides. So you were talking about the gravitational attraction of the Moon. That's why the answer was B. The solar system, including Earth, lies within which arm of the Milky Way? So you can see Milky Way questions. That would be that one. Okay, so the Milky Way has 4 main spiral arms. The Norma and Cygnus arm, Sagittarius, Scutum, Crux, and Perseus. The Orion arm is a minor spiral arm of the Milky Way. It's 3,500 light years across and approximately 10,000 light years in length. The solar system, including Earth, lies within the Orion arm. All right. And one more question about the cosmos. What is the approximate time period between successive full phases of the moon? And that answer is approximately 29 and a half days. So approximately 29 and a half days elapse from one full moon to the next. You would like to take note that it is longer than the time it takes to complete its cycle of motion through the stars, which takes 27 and a half days. I'd be very surprised that you were asked about the cycle of motion through the stars, but if you know 29 and a half days, or as you look at these answer choices, right, only one of them is somewhere close to a month, right? Because we have 24 hours, 7 days, 365 days. So if you know it's around a month, that will be enough information to get through time period between full phases of the moon. Okay, and So let's jump into atomic numbers here. Okay, so the atomic number of calcium is 20. Assuming that it's a neutrally charged atom, how many electrons would you expect this calcium atom to have? Okay, and so that would be, hopefully got this one, 20. So the thinking here is that if the atomic number is 20, then there are 20 protons. In a neutrally charged atom, there will be the same number of protons and electrons. So the answer is 20 electrons. If the atom is neutrally charged, this means there is no charge. Protons are positive, electrons are negative. This is why they must be the same number. Okay, so that's just some real basics. And if you have, but if you're not familiar with it, then it doesn't seem basic, right? But it's the likelihood that the question is calcium, is for the element, is fairly low, but the likelihood that they give you an atomic number of something and ask you if it's a neutrally charged atom, how many electrons would you expect, or how many protons would you expect, something like that, right? So you want to be familiar with these basic rules. Okay, and then we go into ions. This is an ion question. So if a neutral atom gains an electron, then what happens? Okay, and your answer is it becomes negative and is called an anion. Answer choice D. Okay, so let's talk about this for a sec. Fairly simple concept, really. So if a neutral atom gains an electron, it becomes negative. Okay, again, electrons are negative. The atom was previously neutral, so now it's negative. This kind of ion is called an anion. If a neutral atom loses an electron, it becomes positive. This kind of ion is called a cation. Any atom with a charge is referred to as an ion. Okay, so those are the basics. This is, I'd say, a pretty likely question to show up. That's why we put it in here, and that's what you need to know. Basic definition of ions, what makes something a cation, what makes something an anion. What is the difference between an atom and a molecule? So it is a combination of atoms makes up molecules. Answer choice B. So you just want to know that atoms, they're the basic building blocks of matter. Combinations of these atoms become molecules. Question 14. So the sodium and chlorine ions come together to form sodium chloride, or NaCl. The sodium atom in this compound loses an electron to become Na+, while the chlorine atom gains an electron to become Cl-. What answer choice most accurately describes the process? So hopefully you at least got it down to covalent bonding and ionic bonding. Some people get confused on the difference between those two. So let's talk about it. So ionic bonds are a chemical bond formed between two ions with opposite charges. Okay, if you just know that, you probably got this right. Ionic bonds form when one atom gives up one or more electrons to another atom. These bonds can form between a pair of atoms or between molecules and are the type of bond found in salts. Covalent bonding, on the other hand, is when each atom share a pair of electrons, with each atom contributing one electron. Okay, so that's the difference there. We want to know the difference between ionic bonds, covalent bonds. Somehow you will probably be asked about this. Mixtures are materials made up of two or more different substances, which are mixed but are not combined directly. Elements are substances that cannot be broken down into other substances. Okay, so but for the sake of this, we really just want to know ionic bonds are chemical bonds formed between two ions with different charges. Covalent bonding is when each atom share a pair of electrons, with each atom contributing one electron. Okay, so if we got that, then you have this question, and that's an important concept. More fairly difficult concept for this test. Which of the following is an organic compound? Protein isn't an organic compound. The other ones are not. Proteins are composed of amino acids, which contain carbon. Remember that organic compounds are carbon-based. Okay, and then we have some energy questions here. At what point does a boy on a roller coaster have the most potential energy? Okay, so this question wants to know about potential energy. And the most potential energy is at the height of the ride in this case, which is 25 meters off the ground. So that's the highest point of the ride. The higher an object or person is above the ground, the more gravitational potential energy it has. Okay, so if you just understand that, you understand what you're about to face if you get a potential energy type question. Okay, another question. A loaded spring is an example of also potential energy. So we just threw in back-to-back potential energies just to see if it would throw you off. So potential energy is also the stored energy of an object. A loaded spring, this is a very common example, is an example of potential energy. Kinetic energy is the movement or motion energy of an object. Mass and speed determine kinetic energy. Electric energy is the energy created by electrons moving through an electrical conductor. So like lightning or electricity, those are examples of electrical energy. And then finally, chemical energy is energy stored in bonds of chemical compounds, which would mean atoms or molecules. So some examples could be batteries, biomass, petroleum, natural gas, coal. Those are all examples of stored chemical energy. Okay, E equals mc squared, right? That's what Einstein's most famous equation was. What is it all about, right? You know, people could write 100-page essays on what it's really all about. We don't care about that. We want the one sentence answer, right? And just understanding that E stands for energy, M stands for mass. Okay, that's basically what it's asking you. If you know that, you're in good shape. You could be asked about C as well. C represents the speed of light. Don't worry about anything else. You just need to know there's a lot of energy in a small amount of matter. That's what the equation's all about. Height of a wave, right? So is a height of a wave wavelength, frequency, amplitude, or velocity? And the answer is amplitude. A lot of people pick wavelength, interestingly. The amplitude of a wave is the height of the wave, again. Larger amplitude means higher energy, and lower amplitude means lower energy. The significance of this is that amplitude tells you the brightness or intensity of the wave as compared to other waves. Okay, so that's amplitude. And last question here for level 3, law of conservation of energy. What does that state? Does it say the total energy of an isolated system remains constant? Yes. Does it say energy can neither be created nor destroyed? Yes. Does it say energy transforms from one form to another? Also yes. So this one's an all of the above type answer. So the law of conservation of energy states that the total energy of an isolated system remains constant. It is conserved over time, right? That's why it's called the conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it actually transforms from one form to another. Getting in more detail than that is not necessary, but that's what we want to know for the law of conservation of energy. Okay, so that gets us to the end of level 3 practice test for GED Science. I hope this was useful. If there are things that don't make sense or need more explanation, leave a comment and we will get back to you as soon as we can. I would also think if there are, if you did great, awesome. If you struggled with some of the stuff, see if I would look at the videos that connect to the questions that you missed. That might be useful. And then the other thing is uh, using the app is the most useful thing you can do, right? It's free to install. Check it out, see if you like it. Uh, but I think as you answer more and more questions, get detailed feedback, your knowledge will go up and your ability to correctly answer the stuff will go up, and it's more interactive and engaging and fun to use than just watching a bunch of videos. So that's how I would go about it. All right, with that, I will end this video and see you guys on the next one.